Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is INX Prime Live. Remember, we are on your screens every single Monday to Friday between the hours of 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Now, tonight we are joined by someone who is incredible. We are chatting to Reabetjoe Mokoko, who is also known as Ria, now the cooking dietitian. She is a registered dietitian as well as a talented chef, as well as a thought leader in the fields of health and nutrition. Now, she's also the founder of Plates and Scales, which is a health-focused catering company with kitchens both in Midrand as well as in Centurion in Pretoria. And Ria brings her passion for practical nutrition to life by teaching people how to eat and live healthier in any environment. Now we dive into Ria's journey, her philosophy for practical nutrition, and how she's influencing the way we think about food as well as wellness. Good evening, Chef Ria, and welcome to INX Prime Live.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for joining us. I think it's such an important conversation, and we're speaking about it before you were here, that all of us are trying to, have the best, healthiest bodies that we possibly, can have. But some of us want those six packs, and I've been trying this. You'll hear from Maimuna, who's been here from day one with me. Like, I've been speaking about getting the six pack, but it's so difficult. They say 80% of getting a six-pack happens in the kitchen, right? Yeah. Without a doubt. So I want to have these conversations with you, but I want to get started off first understanding more about you. Now, we know that you are a dietitian, but you also play in the space of, culinary arts as well. How did you manage to merge these two together to become the kind of powerhouse that you are today?
Sure. I think growing up, I was raised by my aunt who was diabetic, and she was a great cook. And when I reflect in retrospect, I realized that she had a premature death due to complications of diabetes, mainly because we didn't know what she was supposed to eat. And we did a lot of cooking that was unhealthy. So I then eventually, when I thought I wanted to become a medical doctor, but when I discovered the field of dietetics and that it entails healing people through food, I thought, aha, this is what I wanted to do. And then there was also a stereotype that most dietitians actually don't know how to cook. And I thought, I'm also going to change that narrative. And that's how Ria the Cooking Dietitian came about. I merged my love and passion for being in the kitchen with the healthcare sector in terms of being a dietitian. So
I can see that you are quite an intelligent businesswoman and you understand the space of business models and structuring. Let's talk about being the founder of Plates and Scales, right? Now, it is a catering company. And like we did mention, you have two kitchens in Midrand and one in Pretoria as well. Now you're doing these high quality mass, catering for corporates out there. How do you manage to create that balance between being someone who's a dietitian and helping your everyday clients, but then also doing high scale catering at the same time? Because corporates become quite difficult as well. They have a lot of, red tape. There's a lot of requirements. How does it work?
Like you said, corporates are it's quite tricky. You have one chance when it comes to corporate. You mess it up, it's over. And I'm very pedantic. I'm a perfectionist. And I think that's how we've succeeded. When I deliver to a client, I make sure that everything is high end. We cater for everybody's nutritional requirements because we need to take into consideration that not everybody eats the same. Not everybody's nutritional requirements are the same. If there is somebody in the room that's diabetic, we need to be able to cater for that. If there is somebody in the room who is lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, whatever it is, it should not become a burden when somebody says, do you perhaps have something for a vegetarian? Of course we do. We cater for everybody according to their nutritional requirements. So yeah, that's how I think we've won over the catering, the corporate sector, because they know that we are pedantic. They know that we cater for everybody. Every guest will be catered for when it comes to the nutritional requirements and the quality. The quality is always top tier. Food looks presentable, healthy, but looks good.
I love that. Yeah. We are getting a lot of comments, questions coming in from social media. We do have a comment from Pompo saying, you seem like an incredible dietitian and he really wants to try her best to get into contact with you. But away from that, we also have another comment from Nabil. Now, Nabil was saying that he hates going to the gym because gym trainers and, these personal trainers always tell him, give him these very lengthy, plans or meal plans or whatever it is. But it never is practical for him, and I know you're someone who emphasizes the concept of practical nutrition. Tell us a little bit more on what it actually means to have practical nutrition and how do you incorporate that in your daily life?
So when it comes to practical nutrition, I always say practical nutrition addresses your own issues. The thing about living healthy, eating healthy, we always want to photocopy what the outside world says or what the person next to you has done. Because if, let's say for you, your addiction is sugar, and my addiction, I love baked goods. But if now you say to me, I went on a zero sugar diet and it's working for me, that addresses your issues, but it doesn't address mine. So it's not practical for me. So when it comes to practical nutrition, it's about addressing your own issues and affordability. Eating healthy does not mean that you have to be shopping at a certain store, living in a certain area. Practical nutrition says, for me, it says that no matter what area you live in, no matter what shops you have access to, you can prepare food in the healthiest way possible. Because you can go to these fancy shops, supermarkets, and buy healthy food. And at the end of the day, you can prepare it in an unhealthy way, and it goes in the total opposite direction. And you can have somebody living in Soweto who goes to just the street vendors to buy fruits, veggies, and prepares it in the most healthiest way. And practical nutrition is all about really addressing, taking food, eating it in the healthiest way. Don't overthink it. Don't buy food items that you don't know. You know, when somebody was like, oh, I'm going on a diet, they always think that now you need to buy veggies that you can't even pronounce, that you've never eaten before. No, that's not the case. If cabbage is the go-to, then cabbage is the go-to. Spinach is the go-to. Then you don't have to now go for asparagus. If you don't know asparagus, you don't know how to prepare it, why are you buying it? It's not practical. That's why the changes then become short-term, because now you're taking things that you don't know and you're implementing them. Yeah.
No, that's very, very true. And I mean, also just looking at what people have this perception, like you did mention, is that, you know, it's expensive to eat healthy. And that's one of the things that a lot of people believe in. They believe that, you know, it's too expensive. They have to go for affordable food. And affordable food is normally takeouts, which is unhealthy. So people just don't want to spend more, so they don't care about eating healthy. We need to get rid of that that perception, without a doubt, like you did mention. But, you know, for a lot of people out there that live very fast lives, because we are living, for example, here in Johannesburg, but people can be living in Cape Town, Durban, many other places around the country where they have fast-paced lifestyles, you know. How do we simplify eating healthy or healthy eating for your everyday business person or person who's an entrepreneur or corporate, for example, that just doesn't have time to cook? I mean, I can speak in my own personal capacity. If you ever find me in the kitchen, like, you'd be lucky to see that happen once or twice in a month, you know. So it's very difficult for a lot of us. What advice do you have for that?
So I always, I know it's difficult. We have busy schedules and things are hectic. But the first thing that I will always say to people is think about the long term. The thing is, now, if you're going to take shortcuts and want to eat fast takeouts and things like that, you're actually cutting your lifespan. But take into consideration the time management thing. Try to plan in advance. On weekends, I always say weekends, like Sundays, Saturday, Sundays, if you can, cook veggies in bulk, meat and whatever you can in bulk. One-pot meals, I love those, because even one-pan meals, for somebody like you who may live alone, who doesn't like cooking, all you need to do is just some chicken breasts on a pan, some veggies on a pan, potatoes on a pan, in the oven, 30, 45 minutes while you're doing something that you're doing. And then you come back, your food is ready. So it's all about just simplifying it. It doesn't mean that eating healthy, you have to have like a plate with like 7 colors that's taking you 3 hours to cook. That's not even the case. Yeah. The new thing, air fryer, I love air fryers, because air fryers just throw things in the air fryer, time it, you go about life, and you come back, things are cooked in a healthy way. So let's take into consideration those small solutions to just ensure that we live healthier, because at the end of the day, it's for our benefit.
Very, very true. We've got more comments and questions coming in from social media. And I mean, Shazia as well was just saying, like, I think she saw you on Future Life collaboration or partnership, and she says that the problem with these partnerships and collaborations is that you never know how someone genuinely feels about the brand, you know. And I think that's where my next question comes in. Now, you have done all these collabs and partnerships. How do you differentiate yourself and keep your integrity and your own values? Because you are a dietitian, but these are brands that want to push out certain products. How do you keep that?
I absolutely love that question, because I'm one of the first dietitians. There's also another dietitian whom I work closely with. Her name is Invaluable Dietitian. We're one of the first few dietitians to actually do the social media education, brand work, and things like that. But when it comes to us, I work with reputable brands. You will not see me pushing messages that I don't believe in. Profit, integrity, profit for me. Integrity over profit. I want to reflect on my work even 10 years later. A brand like Future Life, I was introduced to Future Life by my mother. when my son was 2 years old, my son is 13 years old, we still have Future Life in the cupboard till today. It's healthy, it's easy, and they have different products. So I will never align with a brand that does not align with, I would never work with I've received offers from brands to work with that doesn't allow alcohol brand, fried fat. I'm sorry, no, even if you put 50, because now 50,000 that I get now other brands are going to question in future. So it's going to cut my, no. So people can just put their mind at ease and know when I work with a brand, just know that I've done my research. I even advise on the health message to say, this is the type of health message we need to push when we are educating around this brand, because it needs to benefit, the consumers are the ones that need to benefit at the end of the day.
No, without a doubt, I completely agree with that. I'm just looking at some of the comments that you've shared on social media and many other platforms. I mean, you said something here that it's quite profound. And you said that people should always develop themselves, and you're currently doing that right now with FC Barcelona.
Yeah.
That's massive. I mean, you're doing a advanced sports nutrition qualification.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about what that actually means, but also the idea of developing yourself. You know, I mean, some people would look at you now and say, you know, you've practically done whatever you need to do. You can just like master the space and monopolize it, but you constantly want to learn and develop yourself. Why is that the case, and why are you doing this thing with FC Barcelona?
So the one thing about I think in any work environment, things are constantly changing, and you need to keep up to date with the current information. And especially, you can't now be educating on information that's like 30 years back when we've transformed so much. So recently I was quite a prominent soccer team to join on them. With the process is still lengthy, we're still conversating. I don't want people to be running after my opportunities now. So when they approached me, I realized that sports nutrition is quite vast and it's not developed in South Africa. And I thought, maybe this is an opportunity for me, because every time I'm called on a project, I want to know, you are calling on a professional. I will prepare myself. If I have to get additional courses, I come bearing a lot of knowledge, experience, knowledge, everything. Even when I had a meeting with one of the high performance coach from this team, he was like to me, wait, you know, there was another dietitian here, an older one. The knowledge was outdated. You come with such a fresh twist and approach. And then I asked him for the name. I was like, you know, that was actually my lecturer. He's like, you know more than her. I'm like, that's the thing, that they think what they know, it set them for life. But you need to always update the information so that you are giving people the most current, most relevant, most well-researched information. So yeah, that's why I'm doing the course with FC Barcelona.
Yeah, I love the concept of self-improvement.
Yes.
I think it's such an important thing.
Yeah.
Let's just look at some of the other comments and questions coming in as well. We have a question from Bali. She says that she has a book of all, you know, the 3 best tips for this, 5 best tips for this. She wants 3 simple yet impactful changes that people can make in their life when it comes to eating more nutritiously and better as well.
Okay. I think number 1, food is meant to nourish you. People should always remember that. Food is a nourishment. Food is medicine. So I always say, when you have a plate in front of you, you must ask yourself, is this plate healthy enough? Is this going to nourish me? 10 years later, will I say, yeah, I was eating well? So that's number 1. Food is nourishment. Number 2, limit the unnecessary things. The necessary things are your salt, your sugar, your fried fatty foods. If you limit those, that's already a step closer to eating healthy. Number 3, fruits, veggies. South Africa is quite a nation that doesn't consume. It's not a high consuming. It's not a high vegetable consuming nation, and that also impacts our health, because if we're not eating enough veggies, that means that we are eating more of something else, which is generally starches. And then starches, yes, we need starches because they give us carbs, but starches are also energy dense, and that's where the obesity, the weight loss comes in. So definitely more fruits, more veggies on the plate. So food is medicine, remember that. Number 2, cut out on the unnecessary things, your sugars, your fats, your salts, because those are the ones that actually cause the risk, increase the risk for things like your diabetes, your high cholesterol. And yes, the third one is, of course, increasing your fruits, your veggies, because that's where we get the minerals and the vitamins that help to build a lot of processes and contribute to a lot of processes in the body.
I can see that you enjoy educating, our
do.
audience without a doubt.
I
And
do.
trust me, we have a lot of comments and questions coming in. Surprisingly for this interview, people really have a lot of, questions to ask you as well. And I'm going to go through some of them. And I think it's nice to, start off with that. And maybe perhaps you can also debunk some of the mistakes that people make. But let's just look at some of them. I mean, we do have a question coming in as well. And someone says, what's the importance of a food scale? Do you think it's needed in today's time when it comes to a food scale? What's your thoughts on that?
When now we're introducing food scales, we are increasing complexity around eating. The easiest guideline when it comes to eating, there's a model called my plate model. And my plate model says a quarter of the plate, about the size of your fist, is your starches. It's rice, it's potatoes, it's supposed to be the quarter of your plate. Then the other quarter is supposed to be your protein, your lean proteins. The less the fat, the better. So that's your protein. And then half of your plate is supposed to be your fruits, your veggies. So most of your diet, most of your plate should have more veggies, your salads, your cooked veggies and things like that. So we don't have to now be weighing things into grams and things like that, because then it's almost like you're creating anxiety, you're creating unnecessary food controls and food measures. As long as you're looking at your plate and you're like, this looks healthy, this looks nutritious, because now, are you going to carry a food scale everywhere you go?
It's difficult.
It becomes so much admin. Yeah. You can actually measure with your eyes just from the plate model that quarter starch, quarter meat, half veggies.
Yeah, so once you perfect that, I think you're good to go.
Yes.
Let's look at some of the myths as well. Now, there is myths that go out for many, many generations now.
Yeah.
Let's debunk some of them. What are some of those myths?
Number one, this one is very common amongst women. When they want to lose weight, they think that carbs are the enemies. The first thing that they cut out is carbs. Carbs are our brain. The main energy that it works on, it feeds on, is glucose. Glucose, we get it from carbohydrates. So when you are cutting out the carbohydrates, it means that you are starving your brain from the energy. It's about the type of carbs that you consume. So you cut out the white, refined, the white, highly processed starches, and you go for the brown, the whole wheat ones. That's the better option. Starvation is not the key to weight loss. You need to eat small meals with small snacking, healthy meals in between. What is the other one? Banting is also another one. It's not the healthiest way to go because it's high in animal fats, and animal fats can cause high cholesterol and kidney stones.
Yeah.
What other myth are we?
Well, we have a random question. We can just end off the interview with that. People want to know, what's the nutritional value of coconut water? Some people believe it's really valuable in terms of nutrition, and some people think there's not a lot of value to it at all. What do you think?
There is H2O. The normal H2O is more than enough in terms of, because it's hydrating. Remember, when you are thirsty, not even thirsty, 70% of our body is made up of water. That's how important water is. Now, when we introduce coconut water, then we're feeding back into the stereotype that healthy eating is expensive. When normal H2O, water does more than enough. So we don't have to, coconut water, vitamins, water, you don't need all of those. Just normal H2O does enough for your body.
H2O it is, eh?
H2O it is.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us tonight on INX Prime Live.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Absolutely loved it. Loved the questions from the audiences. Absolutely loved it.
Well, thank you so much, guys. That is Reabetjoe Mokoko, who is actually a dietitian, also a chef, but someone who really strongly believes in changing the way in which we definitely look at nutrition and eating healthy. And she has one of the most prominent catering companies in South Africa as well. So if you do want to get into contact with her, make sure that you do find her on social media platforms, or perhaps on her website or on Google as well.